So if you let me explain...
I don't need to explain anything. I don't need to explain anything. You're not in any moral ground. You like to... People like to play like everything you're doing is the right thing. Yeah, fine.
You're not letting us explain.
The right thing. I don't care. You think you're doing the right thing. Fine, that's cool. Right? So just go. Just arrest me. No, I'm breaching the peace, right?
So guys, in this next news story, you're going to come across a harrowing case where the parents neglected their own child. Didn't feed him, starved him essentially to death and buried him in the back garden. And there's going to be footage in here which is going to show you when the police first enter their property, and you'll actually have a look and see. And you wonder how people live. Like, this guy opens the door, they go through his house and it's all dark, there's no lights, it just looks messy. Like, how are even people living like this? So this story is from Birmingham. It's from an area called Handsworth. And it's just sad that this day and age, kids are living in conditions such as this, and you know, where's the help for them? But just want to say rest in peace to this kid. So there was a couple whose 3-year-old son was found buried in the garden after they opted out of society and set up their own weird kingdom, and they were today convicted of causing or allowing his death through breathtaking neglect. Tai, who's 42, and Naiyahmi Yasharahyalah, who's 43, kept little Abiyah's body in their bed for 8 days after he died from a respiratory illness worsened by a restricted vegan diet which caused severe malnourishment, rickets, anaemia and stunted growth. The couple then embalmed and buried the toddler in a 30-inch deep grave in the back garden of their then home in Handsworth in Birmingham in early 2020. A 2-month trial was told. London-born Tai, a former fitness instructor and medical genetics graduate and former shop worker, Naiyahmi shunned mainstream society and was eventually arrested in December 2022 whilst living in a caravan in Somerset. A post-mortem on Abiyah's skeletal remains and other tests failed to identify how he died, but suggested it was also suffering from severe dental decay, 6 fractures to his right arm, legs and ribs, possibly caused by a fall. 6 weeks before his death, he was malnourished and essentially was starved. Jurors deliberated for a total of 21 hours and 14 minutes over 5 days at Coventry Crown. Abiyah was neglected by being given inadequate food and through a failure to summon any medical treatment as he battled a fatal respiratory illness. The trials told that police visited the property on Handsworth 3 times. The visits were in February 2018 when Abiyah was alive, again in 2021 after his death, and then in March 2022 to assist the couple's eviction for non-payment of rent. On the second occasion, police bodycam footage recorded officers asking if a child lived at the address and Tai becoming aggressive of being arrested for being obstructive. So have a look at this footage, guys, here for you.
Without my consent.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That is correct. You're right there.
You're stepping into my property.
Is there anyone else inside this property?
You're stepping into my property.
Is there anyone else living in this property? Very well. That's fine. Is there anyone else living here?
It's right at this point. I don't have to answer any of your
questions. Okay, that's fine. So because you're not going to answer, I'm just going to have to search.
You are
just to see if there's anyone else in this property, so that I can.
Now my reflection is indecent. So you cannot step in without you've already trespassed.
Who's indecent?
You're trespassing. You are trespassing on our property.
Okay, it's indecent. Can you just cover up? I just want to make sure that you're okay. That's all.
You're trespassing, first of all. Hi. We didn't give you any consent. Are you recording that?
Okay,
you're not giving any consent to step into the property. Now, what exactly was it that you said? That you can come in forcefully into our property with no warrant at all. There is no allegations. Who is the person? Has anyone raised any allegations?
We now have concerns.
What concerns? Based on what? Based on your bias?
Based on you not engaging. So listen to me.
I don't have to engage because I'm in my sovereign capacity.
Listen to me. Listen.
This is my space.
Listen to what I'm saying, and I will explain to you. Okay.
Very well. Come and force yourself into our house for no reason. You're still in here, in our property, in our.
Just check the rooms, mate. Can you? Are there any children who live at this address? Can I take your name? Sorry.
No, you can't take.
I'm asking you. Did I ask you?
No, you don't.
No,
you're in our space. She doesn't have the right to remain silent.
We've had a call Yeah.
A call from who?
Let me explain. If you stay silent for a minute, and let me explain to your wife, your partner, or whoever this is, I'll be happy to explain to her. Yeah?
I don't need to explain
I'm not talking to you. I've explained to you.
Out of our space.
So we've had a call.
We need our...
People have been trying to get in touch with yourselves, and they've got concerns for people in this
so
property.
So who are these people that have been trying to get in touch with us? So
it's
just vague. You're saying people have concerns about us. We have the right to our privacy,
about people in this property.
Our private life.
Because you're...
This gentleman here
will not engage with us. We've got concerns for people who live here. So we're coming in to make sure that everyone's okay. We've been told that there is a child here as well. We need to make sure that everyone's okay and we'll leave.
You have no jurisdiction.
So can I ask for your name?
No, I'm not. We've renounced our
citizenship. Do you have any children who live here?
I am a citizen of Yasharahyalah.
Okay.
You don't know about my name. It's none of your business.
Where does the child live? Is there a child here?
You have no jurisdiction or power in my realm. You have no power or authority in my realm.
Okay.
So now you can get out.
Do you have a child here?
Now you can get out. It's none of your business. My child is none of your business. If you have a problem, if there is a criminal activity going on, then state it.
You shouldn't be living here.
I shouldn't be living here. What do you mean I shouldn't be living here?
You're not the person that's supposed to be living here.
What do you mean I'm not supposed to?
You should not be living here.
And how? What does that mean?
That should be living in this property are a female and a 5-year-old child. That is all.
What do you mean that's all?
That is all.
Is that not my child?
That is what is on
the child. You haven't told us who you are.
You know, it doesn't matter. That's not your business. But you are not my... You are not... You don't have anything to do with us. This is our life. This is my family.
And if you've not listened, that is
why is it not my family?
There's a child party there as well. Is there a child in this property?
How is it your business? Is it your son? Is it your son? Is it your son?
It doesn't matter whether it's
then if you have an issue, then go and get a warrant.
You don't need it. Not for
what you want to do. Arrest me? Go on then.
You can do.
If I need to.
Go on then. Go on then. Go on. Arrest me and get this on camera. What's your name, officer?
Because of the concern for child, we could do it.
Get your.
You're under arrest for obstructing constable. You didn't have to say anything.
Can you see that? Did I obstruct anything?
Yeah.
Get down,
Don't
Carmen.
resist.
Get down, Carmen. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting.
Okay, then relax then.
What you're cuffing me against my will.
Alright, so you didn't have to say anything. Have a chance to mention my questions which later on in the court. Anything
okay, so now what am I being charged for the cap for the
moment? It's under report obstructing the constable.
Obstructing the constable? How did I obstruct you?
We've asked you questions, you're not engaging. We've got concerns for a child, you're not telling us who this child is. So the
child is my son. I did tell you it was.
Tell me that.
You're saying I didn't tell. I told you.
What's your child's name?
My child's name is Abiyah.
Where is he?
That's not your business. Why are you asking me this? What is the
concern for your child?
The concern for my child. So what do you need to do?
It doesn't matter. Come on.
So what's going to happen then?
You're going to the car now.
Walk downstairs. Slowly.
So I'm being arrested
for obstruction.
For obstructing what?
A police constable.
How did I obstruct you? I obstructed you in what sense? You came into my house. I didn't stop you from coming into the house. Did I stop you?
Yeah. Well, let me just give me the keys.
Next time this happens, because now what you've done right now, you've assaulted me. The next time, you have just.
So a child safeguarding practice review is ongoing into Abiyah's death, examining police and other agencies' involvement with him during his life. The trial was told that instead of contacting the NHS, the couple, who told police they had renounced British citizenship, had an off-grid existence, tried to treat the son's final illness with garlic and ginger. The couple were both extremely thin when they were arrested, leading to the discovery of the son's body 5 days later. Tai, who used the first name Tai Zamarai, and his wife, who was born in Birmingham to a Christian family, denied the charges against them, telling the court they did not act willfully and believed Abiyah would recover from a flu-like condition. Tai told police in an interview that he carried out an 8-day ritual hoping that Abiyah would come back, but had eventually decided to conduct a burial in accordance with his culture on what he regarded as sacred ground. He told jurors he had adopted polygamy, but had rejected being an omnivore as part of a quasi-religious kingdom, but accepted he had been foolish in following his own legal doctrine. Although he had studied immunology and how diseases affect genes before graduating from Queen Mary University in London, so he was quite a bright, intelligent lad, Tai claimed he was unaware of the risks of a strict, unsupplemented vegan diet. Jurors heard the couple met in the street whilst Ty, who was moved to Birmingham in 2014, was busking and introduced himself to his future wife, whose original name was Donna Graham, as the king of the kingdom of Yasharahyalah. The couple got married at a register office in September 2015 and invented a belief system featuring aspects of a culture that Ty had adapted to form a legal system he called slick law. Court heard they lived off the generosity of others, occupying a shipping container and then a caravan in the Somerset area. Post-mortem tests failed to ascertain the cause of Abiyah's death because tests on soft tissue which had decomposed could not be carried out. But experts were able to say that if the 3-year-old died from a respiratory illness as described by his parents, the effects of malnutrition would have been more than a minimal cause of his death. Police bodycam footage of the couple being removed from the caravan amid welfare concerns was also viewed by the jury, with Ty screaming at police about back problems and his missus appearing to read from a computer screen as she said, "Leave my personal private space. I am an indigenous person." After they were taken to hospital, Abiyah was spotted on social media posts recorded by Ty, and when asked where the boy was, the couple admitted they had buried him and failed to register his death. Opening the case for the Crown at the start of the trial, prosecutor Jonas Hankin KC claimed the couple had jointly neglected Abiyah by failing to provide him with enough food or any medical help. Prosecutors alleged it would have been obvious to both defendants that Abiyah, whose teeth would have been wobbly, was in considerable pain from abscesses and other ailments. Mr. Hankin said the child started life small but normal, and over time he became abnormally small. Those features must have been discernible to his parents if, as they claim, they were caring, loving and attentive. Referring to a comment made by Abiyah's mother that nature has its way of doing things, prosecutor added, that is their attitude. We're right and nature will decide. It's breathtaking arrogance and cruelty. The couple's lawyer argued that the couple had buried Abiyah in the hope he might be born again and not in order to hide his death from the authorities. The defence lawyer told the trial Ty and his missus were not saying to themselves, we realise our healthcare is bad for us, but we're not going to do it anyway. They genuinely believed they were doing the right thing. They genuinely believed that their diet and the belief in natural and holistic medicines was the best way. Footage released after the couple were found guilty showed them arguing with police inside the property with their son's body lay buried in the back garden. Among police bodycam videos shown to the trial jury, one was filmed by an officer during a welfare check, as we've seen at the start of the video, and after being informed that officers were there to check on concerns for people living in the property, Ty told the police that his son's whereabouts were none of the officer's business. He was showing a bare attitude. Removal from a caravan they were living in Somerset, Ty was also aggressive after complaining of a bad back, and footage from the caravan which police attended due to welfare concerns about the severely ill couple showed Naiyahmi telling a policewoman, "I do not require your services," and asking the officer to leave. Ty was also recorded as he sat in the back of a police van complaining that he was a disabled person that can hardly move and that he wished police had tasered him in his face. The trial heard that 5 days after the couple were helped out of the caravan, it emerged from a social media video spotted by a social worker that Ty appeared to have a son who referred to in the footage as Abiyah. Naiyahmi, who was born in Birmingham, was confronted about the clip and she said, "Oh shit," and then disengaged completely, refusing to provide any information. But Ty subsequently admitted Abiyah was dead. His death had not been registered because it was not part of their culture, and it had been held at a private ceremony and buried him in the garden, in the property, in Handsworth.
I don't need to explain anything. I don't need you to explain anything. You're not in any moral ground. You like to, or people like to play like everything you're doing is the right thing. Yeah, fine.
You're not letting us explain.
The right thing. I don't care. You think you're doing the right thing? Fine, that's cool. Right? So just go. Just arrest me. No, I'm breaching the peace, right? Or a disabled person that can't hardly move is breaching the peace, and you feel like warriors pulling me out like a log of wood.
No,
cool,
it doesn't make me feel
don't
like
worry.
a warrior at all.
You feel fantastic.
No,
you will put your tasers ready to taser me down and do whatever you want to do. I really wish you had tasered me in the face. That would be better.
No, because that's not who we are.
That's exactly who you are. No. That's exactly who you are.
I think you misunderstand, mate.
No, I don't misunderstand you. I know you perfectly.
Okay,
that's exactly
fine.
who you are. So it doesn't matter why we were talking. Just go,
because
man.
I just want to.
You've already established that I'm okay.
Because you don't like us. Because
I don't like you. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Commenting after the couple were convicted, the senior investigating officer for the inquiry, West Midlands Police Detective Joe Davenport, said when officers started to investigate, they realised that there was a child missing called Abiyah. When they asked around where Abiyah was, They initially denied to authorities any kind of information as to where he was, but eventually admitted that he had died in 2020 when they were living in Birmingham and they had buried him in the back garden of an address. An incredibly detailed investigation then took place, and senior officer said with this first step being to exhume Abiyah's body because he'd been there for over 2 years. There were very few remains left. It was basically skeletonized remains, which meant that it wasn't possible under a forensic post-mortem to establish the cause of death. So we had to call in different experts and different pathologists who could provide us with information to understand what Abiyah's life would have been like and how he would have been at the point of his death. What they were able to tell me was that at the point of his death, he was incredibly small for his age, he was extremely malnourished, and his bones were incredibly weak to the point that he had 6 bone fractures at different points across his body, and those fractures would have occurred about 6 weeks before his death. In addition to that, he had incredibly poor oral health and his teeth would have had abscesses. The picture that was painted was a child who was so extremely neglected and in very poor condition at the point of his death, and his life would have been miserable to exist in, and he would have been in significant amounts of pain. So it is understood that Abiyah did have an NHS number, but his parents very quickly withdrew him from any kind of medical care, never took him to nursery, and no family or friends were allowed into his life. There were a number of videos recovered as part of the inquiry thought to have been filmed during the period of at least 4 months before Abiyah's death, showing him smiling with both of his parents. In one clip, he apparently videoed himself with his mother in the background, while another clip shows Ty talking to his son who smiles and laughs as music is played. Detective Inspector Davenport said the couple's belief system involved living off the grid with no kind of external support from the state. He said they lived a completely isolated life. They didn't allow anyone into their home in any way and didn't accept any kind of help. They made it extremely difficult for opportunities to arise where people would get to see Abiyah or to have any kind of interaction with him. They also frustrated this by whenever they were asked around where he was, that they would be by a professional or by a neighbour, they would act extremely aggressive and be very evasive around where he was. Ultimately, movie locations around the country also frustrated that it prevented Abiyah's death from being noticed. The prosecutor said of Abiyah's father, I would describe him as a very arrogant man, a fantasist, and someone who looked to manipulate people. He was an evil man. He said I would say about his missus as one and only follower of him because she worshipped him, was incredibly weak-minded to put her love of Ty Zamari ahead of the needs of her own child and the need to please him ahead of her welfare. The head of the CPS said both had deliberately and willfully neglected Abiyah by restricting him to a strict diet and showing a callous disregard for his health and well-being. So guys, the couple are going to be sentenced next Thursday, but as you've seen the images here and, you know, the lifestyle people are living, people, like, honestly, it's crazy out there. People are fucked in the head. How could you do this to your own child? Whether your belief is X, Y, Z, like, how can you mistreat your own child, your own flesh and blood? It's beyond me. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace to the kid.